Okay, guys, it has been a long time, about a month and a half, 2 months since I've been pumping out content. And yeah, I just posted the Rowlet Community Day video a few days ago, which took a few more days to edit than I would have liked. But that's because I was using some new editing software that I want to try out. So if you haven't checked out the video already, be sure to. It's one of the ones that I'm really excited about. I was really happy with the end result. So yeah, I'll leave a link in the description below so you guys can give that a watch if you haven't already. For those of you who have watched the video, then you guys know that I did allude to some life events that have come up that were kind of unavoidable. So I wanted to take a few minutes to address that. If you guys are here just for the Pokemon Go content, I completely get it. No hard feelings. I'll leave a timestamp. Does that make sense? Yeah. I'll put the time on the screen of when you guys can fast forward to, just to get right to the Pokemon Go content. If you are interested in hearing what led to me taking a hiatus, then stick around. But if not, again, no hard feelings. Go ahead and navigate to that time in the video. So for those of you who are still watching this part, I do try to keep my personal life and my YouTube life pretty separate. In my mind, I'm just here to put out content. But I do feel like on some level I do owe you an explanation as to why I was gone. So here's just a small glimpse into my life. So to make a very long story short, I was amazing friends with someone. Her and I met at a job back when I was younger, like years ago. She still has that job. She moved up. I've moved on to another job. But we'd become real good friends. And after a number of years and dealing with heartache and the relationships that we had at the time and whatever, we decided mutually just, well, about give it a chance. So we got involved romantically, and we're kind of just hoping that we would no longer have to deal with crappy, kind of one-sided relationships. So fast forward to 3 years later, I proposed. She said yes. And shortly thereafter, we found an apartment that was close to both her job and my job. We moved in together. Things were going great for about a year or so, and we couldn't be happier. And we honestly, truly believed that this would be the last relationship that her and I would ever need to be in. But as time went by, we eventually just drifted apart. We gotten kind of bad, actually terrible at communicating effectively, that it got pretty uncomfortable just talking about how we're feeling. The person that we truly, genuinely loved, we didn't feel like we can express how we felt. We couldn't navigate a tough conversation and communicate with each other and say, hey, you know what, I'm noticing a little bit of a slip here. What can we do to get back on track? So neither one of us really felt comfortable to have that conversation. And I think we were just both mutually hoping that things would just magically get back on track, and we would just, without putting much work in, just find what we had before. And unfortunately, that just doesn't work. For those of you who are in long-term relationships, you know that it doesn't work that way. You have to put the work in, you have to put the effort in, and you have to make a concerted effort to continually do what's necessary to love the other person and to make yourself lovable to that other person. But we were engaged for over 2 years, together for going on 5.5, and we mutually decided, we sat down and we decided that we needed to go separate ways. We both, for a while, kind of knew it was coming, but the finality of it truly was devastating. And of course, when like no one does anything wrong, like no one lied, no one cheated, no one stole anything, like nothing earth-shattering or egregious happened. We just simply just drifted apart. But when a relationship ends that way, your brain starts filling itself up with what ifs. Maybe I should have said this, maybe I could have addressed this sooner. you know, if only, if only, if only, what if, what if, what if. Like, they all start filling your head with basically nonsense. And for a long time, I've struggled with depression and anxiety issues. And I thought that I had since resolved those issues. And after this, this breakup, they came back. I just want to be clear about this. I mean, obviously, we both kind of screwed up by not expressing what we're feeling and what we're going through. I think it comes down to neither one of us wanted to bother someone else with how we were feeling. And I know a lot of people who have depression, anxiety, any kind of emotional issues struggle with that. Not everyone, but I know a lot of people who do. That they don't want to feel like they're bogging someone down. What they're going through isn't that big of a deal. It's not that serious. Other people have things that they're going through, so I don't want to just burden them with my nonsense. And but most times it can't be further from the truth. Our brains that have been contaminated and poisoned by anxiety and depression lie to us. They tell us that what you're feeling isn't valid. It's not important. It tells us a bunch of nonsense. It tells us a bunch of crap that we don't need to hear, but we tell ourselves that. And it's worse because you can only really hear things in your brain in your voice. So you yourself are telling yourself these terrible negative things. And that person that I was with was a tremendous support in my life, and someone I still to this day trust a great deal. Her and I are still really good friends, and I should have trusted her with the information, and that information being what I was feeling. And I kind of blame myself for not being more open with how I was feeling about things. I blame myself for potentially not making myself more available for her to express what she is feeling. I could have fostered a more comfortable environment for her to be in, where she could have spoken openly and honestly. Not that I actively sabotaged that or actively said anything to make her feel like she couldn't, but that's part of the what if, but yeah, I mean, like I said, we're still friends. We're good. And I truly wish nothing but the best for her. She's a tremendous person, and I truly, genuinely hope that she finds the happiness that she deserves in this life. And I'm sure she feels, and I know she feels the same way about me. But yeah, so like I said, we shared an apartment together, and because no one did anything wrong, she didn't kick me out or anything like that. It wasn't like, I can't even stand the sight of you, you need to be gone. It wasn't anything like that. I know there's situations that are way worse than what I went through. I'm sure of that. But I still didn't want to feel like I was holding her back in any ways by lingering longer than I needed to. So about maybe a week or two after her and I had broken up, by the way, we broke up like a week or two before Thanksgiving, so right into the holidays. But yeah, so a week or two after the breakup, I moved back home with my mom, just to kind of recalibrate, get myself back on track. And of course, I spent several days packing all my belongings up, then unpacking my belongings. Go turn the light on. I don't know if that actually helped. Anyway, so I spent some time obviously working through that. But by the time I had unpacked everything, I had to pack again. My dad and his now fiance and her kids, they take an annual trip down to Florida every year, down to Siesta Keys, and they invited me to go. Which I'd been planning on going for a while. So of course I packed up what was necessary and took a flight down to Tampa. But in the midst of all this, I had realized that my time recently had been consumed by work, getting my life together, and that I kind of put making videos and making content and actually paying attention to the game to the extent that I'm accustomed to, I put all of that on the back burner. And honestly, panic kind of set in as I thought back on all the in-game events that I did make a video about. Life got in the way of me doing what I wanted to do. So I refocused and realized I couldn't retroactively make videos for things that had already happened. So I decided that I was going to take advantage of the opportunity, go down to Florida, and make a handful of videos. Now, obviously, my focus would be spending time with my dad and everyone, but whenever I get a chance to film, I'd break away and go film. So I filmed a handful of videos that I was really excited about. At the time, Zekrom was in raids. I was working on a shiny transfer challenge. For that, I was hatching eggs. I did the catch mastery. I had a handful of things, and I was kind of going to do kind of like a travel blog, and it's going to be broken down into several different videos. So I get back from the trip, I take a full day to recover. Next day I sit down and start editing some of my footage and getting it all together, and realize there's a video that I was working on that I didn't have enough footage for. I think it was the catch mastery, and I realized it would have been like a 1-minute video. So scrap that one, but no big deal. I still had a lot of stuff that I'd filmed, so that's fine. But as I'm transferring files over, I realized that roughly 60% of all the footage I had was on corrupted save files. It's something I've never seen before. Editing is not really my strong suit. Computers kinda, but this is something I didn't know how to really deal with. So I tried for several hours to recover as much as I possibly could, and realized it was kind of a lost cause. And I think part of it was I brought my camera through security and went through the x-ray machine, which apparently isn't supposed to affect things, but somehow I've been having problems ever since with that memory card, so I'm thinking something went screwy from that. But needless to say, with everything else I just talked about, frankly, I was kind of devastated. The love of my life and I had just broken up. I had to move back home at 32, something I'd never thought I'd have to do again. And I'd do something fun, and the videos I had planned out just couldn't be uploaded. More than just potential YouTube videos, recorded memories that I had filmed were just gone. Then my first Christmas as a single guy came and went. I promised myself that starting in early January, I was going to refocus and get back on top of things. So here we are in early to mid-January, and I'm back to filming content. The reason why I bring this up is not just for insight and transparency, so you guys can get like I said, a glimpse into what I was going through and what my life looked like. I'm hoping you guys can learn a little bit something from this. Sometimes life doesn't really go the way that you want it to. Sometimes life happens and forces you to change how you see things, how you feel about things, and how you're going to respond when a monkey wrench is tossed your way. I can't go back now and fix the relationship. Frankly, her and I really aren't romantically compatible. Truthfully, we have different life goals, different worldviews, different priorities, and not a whole lot in common outside of shared past experiences and just being good people. So even if I could go back and fix it, I just don't think it would be a good idea to do that. I can't go back in time and make videos that would be outdated. If I did an informational video about the holiday event coming up, then no one will click on it because it's over and done with. You've moved on. You want to see what's next. I can't fix the corrupted save files. All I can do is salvage the memories that I can. That's why I've had some of those videos playing in the corner on mute. That way you guys can at least see some of what I worked on when I was down in Florida. And so all I can do is buy a new memory card, which I have, and move forward and film videos like I was, just with a clean slate and a new perspective. I want to leave this here for you guys as a parting thought before I get into the Pokemon stuff, obviously the stuff that you're actually here to see. Sometimes we look at how much time we spend doing something and equate that time to value. I've been with so-and-so for 5 years. I've owned a business for 10 years. I've worked this dead-end job for 15 years. I don't feel the way I did before about it, but I invested so much time. I can't walk away from the stability, right? Or it's draining mentally, emotionally, financially, but I invested this much time and money and effort into something. It's bound to pay off. Don't. Just stop. Take a step back. Evaluate whether or not what you're doing is bringing actual value to your life. If you're not happy, fix it. Communicate with your partner or your bosses, your support group, whoever you need to get to the bottom of what the problem is. If you realize that you're going to be unhappy in the long run, it's okay to walk away before it gets bad. We so quickly get caught up in the sunken cost fallacy that we lose ourselves and life passes us by. You owe it to yourself to take the necessary steps to be happy. Okay, the rest of this is going to be Pokemon Go related information and some predictions. Now, as you can see, I am in my car like I was for much of Raleigh Community Day. And it's January in Pittsburgh, so I'm not a meteorologist, but I'm pretty sure the temperature is just a few degrees north of this. So I want to start off this part of the video by going over some predictions that I have for 2024. Now, I know a lot of YouTubers have already come out with their predictions in terms of what they think they'll see for community days and things like that. But I'm going to talk about things that are likely to happen in game, and also some things that I personally would like to see happen in game. And if you have anything that you'd like to see or think will happen, be sure to comment below and let us know your thoughts, because there's probably going to be something that I missed. So we're going to start off with the likely to happen category. Mystery Trades has been a popular feature in the main series game for quite some time. With them introducing mystery gifts at the end of last year, I think it's their way of testing the feature before rolling out the next logical step. I'm sure there will be limitations, sure, but having any form of it in-game would be absolutely amazing. I think there'd be a continued focus on the Alolan and Paldean regions. With the most recent Calm Day being an Alolan starter, it's probably safe to assume that they're going to keep rolling out with new Pokemon from that region. And they spent a lot of last summer focusing on the Paldean region. I wouldn't be surprised if that continues as well. I also think there are going to be several quality of life updates coming out this year, and I think they're going to be focusing heavily on speeding things up. For example, last year they sped up the trade animation. I think they're going to apply that same philosophy to evolution. So they sped that up. I think it's going to be amazing because currently it takes forever. There's so many times where I have a folder of evolution Pokemon that I use during Spotlight Hour. I'll crack a couple lucky eggs, I sit there and evolve, and I can get roughly 120 because it takes like 30 whole seconds to evolve one Pokemon. So it kind of makes it hard for me to actually play the Spotlight Hour as intended, because I'm spending the entire time just evolving Pokemon, and it just takes forever. Especially if you want to grind a bunch of XP by doing that, it's not really the fastest or most efficient way of doing it. So I think quality of life updates like that to add some more speed to the game, I think will actually go a long way, and I think it's something that is coming. Now for the hopefully happens category. So this one is actually pretty obvious. At least I would hope it is. For Niantic at least, because for all of us it is. But I feel like there will be some kind of amendment coming to the remote raid pass nerf. I don't know if they're going to change the dollar amount, which I kind of understand the price increase since the price of everything else has gone up in the last couple of years post-pandemic. But I feel like the limitation is going to be either gone altogether, or they're going to make the limit a much higher number, like 20 or 25 in a day, which I think would be a huge boost to the economy of the game, and also help rebuild that global community that we have lost since the nerf happened back in April of 2023. And in that same breath, I think they will actually allow, well, I hope that they will allow shadow raids to be remote raided. I understand you want to build the local communities, but not every locale has that accessibility. I know there's a lot of rural players, players who are physically disabled and can't get out, who would have loved an opportunity to raid Shadow Mewtwo, for example, and Shadow Lugia when that was around. But unfortunately they were unable to, because they, again, limited Shadow raids to being in person only, much like they did with the Elite raids. I think when you have things that are that strong, that powerful, that relevant, inhibiting players' ability to have accessibility to it was a giant step backwards from what otherwise would have been an amazing feature. So I think that kind of is going to go hand in hand with remote raids. I think if they do allow shadow raids to be remote raided, I think they'll put a cap on that, which if that's the case, I can live with that, because right now we've been given almost nothing, and then having something for that, I would think would be a really good step in the right direction. Also, another thing, and I've been complaining about this for several community day videos, is mass using items such as lucky eggs, incenses, star pieces, things that are stackable, because it's really annoying. And I know this is definitely going to be a first world problem thing, but it's really annoying that 2 o'clock hits and you have to sit there and click on lucky egg, go back to your items, scroll down to lucky eggs, click it again, rinse and repeat at least 6 times if you want the 3-hour duration for that. Then do the same thing with incense if you want more than the 3 hours, if you want to use star pieces. And it takes so long, it's so tedious when I want to spend that time actually playing the event and catching as many Pokemon as I possibly can. So I think that they're going to roll that out. I'm at least fingers crossed hoping that they roll that out, because I think that'd be a huge quality of life improvement that a lot of us have been wanting for a long time. So the first event I want to go over is called the Dazzling Dream event, which is going to run from Saturday, January 13th at 10 a.m. local time and run through Tuesday, January 16th at 8 p.m. local time. The bonuses during the event will be 2 times Stardust for catching Pokemon and 2 times Stardust for hatching Pokemon. Also, for the first time in Pokemon Go, you'll be able to encounter the brand new shiny Cutiefly if you're lucky. So I think it's going to be like a 1 in 500 odds. I think it's going to be normal odds, because they don't usually boost the shiny odds for shiny debuts unless it's like a calm day or like a special research day or anything like that. Flabebe with different colored flowers will be appearing in the wild, depending on where you are in the world. Red flower will be appearing in Europe, the Middle East, and Africa. Blue will be appearing in the Asia Pacific region, and yellow will be appearing in the Americas. If you're lucky, you might encounter white flower Flabebe and orange flower Flabebe no matter what region you're in. But the spawn pool is going to be Clefairy, Jigglypuff, Meryl, Snubbull, Cottony, Flabebe, which I mentioned, Spritzy, Swirlix, Dedenne, Cutiefly, and Morlo. All of those, except for Flabebe, are shiny eligible. You can also encounter Togetic in the wild as well, and that, because it had a calm day, can also be shiny if you catch it in the wild. In the 7-kilometer eggs, you have Togepi, Spritzy, Swirlix, and Cottony. Again, all this can be shiny. There will be field research tasks that will have Spritzy, Alolan Vulpix, Swirlix, Cutiefly, Mawile, Carbink, and there will also be Mega Energy for Gardevoir and Altaria. There will also be a collection challenge. Completing that will give you XP, Stardust, and an encounter with Carbink. There's also going to be a $2 paid timed research. So you'll be able to get event exclusive timed research. Doing so will give you 2 premium battle passes, so right there that pays for the cost of the ticket, XP, Stardust, 2 star pieces, and encounters with event themed Pokemon. Please note that it does expire, which I'm kind of against timed research being something you pay for. Let's let it just be on your account for as long as it takes for you to complete it. But I think people know going in that you only have like, what, 4 days or 5 days to knock this out. So that's it for the Fairy event. And while that event is taking place on Sunday, January 14th from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. local time will be Hisuian Typhlosion Raid Day. They've already done Samelot, so they're going to be completing the whole Hisuian starter family. And it's Typhlosion's turn to shine this time. Bonuses during the event will be receiving up to 5 additional free raid passes from spinning gym photo discs. So you can actually get 6 for the day. Now, there is actually a way to get a 7th if you don't use your free raid pass from the day before. So if you don't raid in person on Saturday, you'll have that raid pass. You do a raid on Sunday, then the next time you spin a gym, you'll get your first one for that day, and then at that point you have 7 raid passes all set. So just, if you can help it, try not to raid on Saturday. And as is tradition at this point with the raid days, they will be upping the remote raid limit. It will be increased to 20 on Saturday, January 13th from 4 p.m. to Sunday, January 14th at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. There will be an increased chance to encounter shiny Typhlosion or shiny Hisuian Typhlosion. So we'll be doing a raid day video for that, and I will be doing a shiny transfer challenge for raid day. So and it'll also be appearing more frequently in raids, which is kind of to be expected when it has a raid date dedicated to it. There is an event ticket for $5. You can purchase a ticket that grants the following bonuses, and these bonuses will be effective from 2 to 10 p.m. On January 14th. You have 8 additional raid passes, so for a daily total of 14 or 15 if you do my trick. Increased chance to get Rare Candy XL, 50% more XP from raid battles, and 2 times Stardust from raid battles. But if you want the infographic that I have on screen, I will leave a link in the description, so that way actually I'm going to do this for all of them, so I'll leave links in the description for all the events and things I'm talking about. That way you guys can see the same thing that I'm seeing. That way it's full transparency, especially because they do have some really cool infographics on the website that I use that you can screenshot on your phone and then send to your friends who might not want to do the research themselves. Then on Friday, January 19th, starting at 10 a.m. local time, we have the Raging Battles event, and that will be running from the 19th through Wednesday, January 24th at 8 p.m. Bonuses during the event will Team Go Rocket will be appearing more frequently at Pokestops and in balloons, and typically instead of every 6 hours in balloons, it'll be every 3 hours. Throw and Sock will both appear in the wild during the event, regardless of their location. Now, typically, these are regionals, where Throw is on like the Western Hemisphere and Sock is on the Eastern Hemisphere. I think that's how that works, but anyway, they are regionals, so if you are missing one or the other in your Pokedex, now's the time to get your hands on it. And there will also be a brand new Pokemon debut, Annihilape, which is I don't say brand new because Scarlet and Violet have been out for like a year now, but it is the final evolution of Mankey. So you can evolve Primeape into Annihilape after you defeat 30 Ghost-type or Psychic-type Pokemon in battle with Primeape as your buddy. You do not actually have to defeat the Pokemon with Primeape, he just has to be your buddy, is how I'm taking it. But during this event, the spawns are actually going to be pretty limited, which is good, because then you can just focus on catching these. It'll be Mankey, Machop, Lickitung, Gligar, Sableye, Throw, Sock, and Scraggy. All 8 of these Pokemon are shiny eligible. Mankey's good to catch because if you still need the shiny, if you still need a good one, I don't really know if Annihilape's going to be meta relevant or very useful. It's going to be a duo, a fighting and ghost type. But if you still need a good Mankey or a shiny, now's a chance to get that. Shadow Machamp is still one of the best fighting types in the game. Lickitung has a home in GBL. Gligar, when it evolves, also has a home. Sableye is relevant only because it does now have a Mega in the game, which was released last year. I talked about the 2 regionals, and Scraggy, when it evolves into Scrafty, is also very relevant in GBL. Appearing in 1-star raids would be Snubbull, Houndour, Pancham, which usually is found only in 12-kilometer eggs. As I've said before, while I'm hatching 12k eggs, I'm still missing 1 more shiny to complete the set. And Marini, which cannot be shiny, but the other 3 can be. Appearing in 3-star raids, we have Zweilous, Gyarados, which actually won't be in the Mega raids, but it can still be shiny, and Primeape, which apparently can be shiny according to the infographic I'm looking at. And during that time, in 5-star raids, we'll continue to have Tornadus, and then we'll have Landorus in the Therian form. Appearing in Mega raids will be Mega Medicham, and then Mega Steelix. Okay, and the last thing that I wanted to go over will be Shadow Ho-Oh in Shadow Raids. That'll be taking place Saturday, January 27th, starting at 6 a.m. local time, and running through Sunday, January 28th at 10 p.m. local time. I think it's going to be like Mewtwo, it's going to be like Lugia, it is going to be a one-off weekend type deal. Obviously, it can be shiny. Ho-Oh is not the greatest legendary out there, but it is very viable, it is a really strong fire and flying type, great attacker, so definitely worth getting your hands on, and getting a chance for it to be a shiny Shadow, kind of a big deal. So yeah, there's a lot of things happening, a lot to cover, so thank you for sticking around this long. I don't know how long this video has been going for, but again, I just want to say sorry to everyone for how long I've been away. If you're just joining us for the first time, then welcome aboard. Be sure to like, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Appreciate every single one of you. Yeah, have fun and be safe. See you next time.